Yo, what it do? It's another episode of Jordan Reviews It, ladies and gentlemen. We are back, and we are most certainly live.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a real one. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a real one. Today we traverse a very large conversation, ladies and gentlemen. But before we do, ladies and gentlemen, a quick message from our sponsor.
You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole is.
The truth of the matter is that American culture at this point, what is truly American, is black culture to a large degree. Flip on the television set. Look at Pulp Fiction. You know, I mean, you can choose whatever examples you want. It's had a profound influence on this entire nation.
Okay, who black, who black, who black, who not? I know you mad, they not. We the sports and the music, do the math, we the culture. And I gotta ask of you, what have you brought? Look, this attaboy that made me an astronaut. I try to watch the news, but I'm lashing out.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen.
We as a people have always been the world's richest people, culturally rich, mineral rich. We have always been the prize because we have always had and still have something that other people won't, think they can't do without, and don't care to pay for.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we discuss a very large topic in the community, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very important topic. Ladies and gentlemen. Quite frankly, there's been a lot going on, right? And I don't know if you've all been paying enough attention to what's happening right in front of you. And we're primarily speaking, ladies and gentlemen, directly in association to the culture, vulture, tendencies, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, today we discuss the culture, vulture, tendencies.
Ladies
and gentlemen, I don't know if you paid attention to the world's biggest sports events, the world's biggest sport event, the Olympics, ladies and gentlemen. It's getting real wicked out here. It's getting real wicked out here, ladies and gentlemen. While we are making hollow mockeries of a bad display of our culture, meanwhile, someone else is mocking what's ours.
It's really nice that regardless of the result, these dancers get to show their...
Ladies and gentlemen, let's cue it up. Ladies and gentlemen, let's cue it up. Because I don't think that they're aware. Of what's going on out here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live, a very special live. And in case you didn't notice, if you're interested in joining the conversation, this number right up here, ladies and gentlemen, is what you can use. To dial in and join this conversation, ladies and gentlemen. It's what you can use to dial in and join this conversation, ladies and gentlemen. Because right now we're talking a particular topic, a particular scene of events that, quite honestly, ladies and gentlemen, you should be ready to have a conversation about. I'm quite upset. All right. Transition. All right.
It's really nice that regardless of the result, these dancers get to show their stuff for a couple battles here in the round robin. Nice chance to showcase who they are.
Displaying their creativity.
Ladies and gentlemen, this shit's treacherous. Ladies and gentlemen, this shit is absolutely treacherous. Not only do we have a poor example of breakdancing, we also have white women in do-rags with an all-white voting panel, all-white DJ and MCs, emulating hip-hop culture for the world to see. And before you say, oh, I'm just hating, you're not paying attention to the main event, they're good at it too. They're good at it too. Right? The male event, they were actually good at it. Right? I don't know 3 niggas that could do that right now. I don't know 3 niggas that could do that right now. I'm just saying. Do we give up on the culture? Do we say forget it and move on and let them have it? Or do we take ownership of what's ours? Ladies and gentlemen, it's time we gatekeep the culture, ladies and gentlemen. I know you don't want to hear it, but ladies, it's time. It's time we gatekeep the culture. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a lot that went on at the Olympics relative to breakdancing. It was a lot that went on. And quite frankly, I'm offended. I don't know about you, but let's hear from some of you all who have called in. Jamal. We have a Jamal here. Let's hear from Jamal first.
Yo, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Yep, we can hear you.
Yo, how do I feel? You want to know how I feel about it, man? I'm a child of the '80s. I was born in the '70s, so
Can you hear me?
of course I'm going to feel. Hello?
Get some feedback there. If you got it, if you got the video open, close it. Go ahead, Jamal. You're on mute. You're on mute. All right, we're going to be wise. Be wise. What you thinking? Be wise. All right. Need you guys to unmute. So I don't know if you can hear me, but you guys gotta unmute. Yo. Yo. Testing. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. On you, man. Go ahead and chime in on the topic as it associates to gatekeeping and the example of the Olympics that we just seen.
All right, It's a delays, but I'm gonna just go ahead and speak on it. Like I started off saying, I'm a child of the 80s. I was born in the 70s, so I grew up trying to break dance. Wasn't good at it at all, but I tried to do what I could do. Um, the thing that I fell in love with, that made me fall in love with hip hop was Beat Street. I never liked breaking, but the movie Breaking, love breakdancing, but didn't like the movie. So when I was thinking of them adding break dancing to the Olympics, I was thinking more breaking than Beat Street. It just wasn't really for the culture, right? And I accept that because we don't break dance like that anymore. In our culture, it's just not something we do. But if you were to travel to other countries, they do it heavy. They love old school hip hop culture. They listen to the rappers we don't listen to anymore. They dress the way we don't dress anymore. They dance the way we don't dance anymore. So it's not, I don't feel like it's necessarily something we need to gatekeep. It's something we gave out to the world and it's theirs now. Um, I did watch the competition and I agree with what you said about the men's part. The men's competition was really good. I think they did their thing. The women's competition, not so much. Um, but more specifically, the controversy is about the lady that you showed. And I think that conversation goes a little bit more deeper than a culture vulture type of thing. That's corruption and a whole bunch of other stuff. Like she wasn't even supposed to be there. Um, her
So
husband was on the committee that got her voted in to represent Australia. It's a lot that went on with that. Um,
yeah. So I know I'm coming in
but
double.
yeah, it was a bad look to have her on there. That said, there's also a conversation about them not having the breakdancing in the Olympics for 2028 in Los Angeles. It's not because this competition was bad, it just wasn't on the schedule anyway. They made that schedule back in October and it wasn't on the schedule. So it was kind of like a one and done type of thing. But would I want to see it again? I don't think I need to see another breakdancing competition in the Olympics. I'd personally rather them have some other competitions. But yeah, man, I agree with mostly what you said about it.
Yeah, man. And quite frankly, as it relates to it, I think that there was even something deeper there, as it is mentioned in association to her even being there. And I think that you highlight a very important point of this isn't the modern day form of quote unquote what we would consider break dancing, right? A lot of what we see Chris Brown do. A lot of what we see in You Got Served is a version of break dancing, right? Dancing to a break. And then also, even when we look at the guide or the requirements for that particular event, it was it was also mentioned that for that particular event, you could not be a person who has ever gotten paid for dancing. I think that was absolutely strange, right? Because we want the best of the best in competition. Why would it not be someone who at some point would have received some level of compensation for something that they have done? And I think a lot of that is because they want to provide or create an equal playing field for their success because they know, just like many other Olympic sports, it'd be dominated by Black Americans. Be wise. What do you think? Or Kev. I need one of you to come off of music.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you well, Kev.
Um, oh man, I'll say this. I was very excited when I did see that breaking was in the Olympics. I was very confused also about it because it's an art form and as opposed to an actual sport. And then you know, the Olympics can seem oversaturated, but besides the point, breaking was there. It was a one-off. Um, and that didn't make sense to me, but at the same time, to see these individuals that's been, keeping up with the art.
And I think it was interesting. They had Snoop Dogg, Henry the Niggering, the entire like black cultural aspect to the breakdancing. Again, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm coming in double here because I want to bring both feeds in. But for context, if you don't know who Henry the Nigger is or Henry the Negro, he was the black person who helped Christopher Columbus sail to Hispaniola. And when we have the conversation of what makes the culture palatable when it's sold back to us via colonialism, right? Some nature of blackness bridging that gap, right? Because if a white person hosted the breakdancing event, let's say Justin Timberlake, right, who can breakdance, by the way, it wouldn't be as accepted, right? So I don't know. You tell me. What you?
It was very disheartening to see only one black person. And I mean, congratulations to him winning silver. I mean bronze. But it was I saw this article and it's funny. As soon as you sent the message out, an hour later, this article pops up in my feed that says, "Breaking makes the Olympics, but the story is, the woman from Australia." And I'm just sitting here like, rap and hip hop all together, but so many people are afraid to kind of really bring race into the forefront that they're not going to say it. They'll laugh at this one chick because it's their true feelings without them actually saying it.
Facts. 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 So yeah. Yeah, thank you for that, gentlemen. Whenever Be Wise manages to figure out how to come off mute, we'll have that conversation as well. Be Wise, are you in with me?
Yeah, I'm off. I'm in the building.
What are your thoughts, Be Wise?
This is a troubling time for people who love the culture. But if you're talking about a bag, we are in the mix, baby. We are getting at this bag. And there comes a point where you just got to give up and say, do we get the bag or do we maintain culture? Because everything in culture is not going to get you the bag.
Oh.
You have any other thoughts on, the whole thing?
The overall thing, I mean, again, that's really where it's at is that if you want to have the Olympics and breaking, and you want to have the people that they had managing it, and none of the people who really matter in hip hop are brought into it or even asked about it. Crazy Legs did an interview saying he wasn't, that no one consulted him about what maybe the rules should be. So if you've been excluded it's either you try to take it over again, grasp back at it, or you keep running for the bag. And really, to be honest, I know people get angry at these things, but the black culture in America has given up hip hop culture for the spoils of rap. So as long as you can have rap and you can get that bag with rap, the culture really doesn't matter.
Be wise. Very great point. It brings us to our next segment. It brings us to our next segment. Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan Reviews it here. We are joined with select few guests. One of which being the Mix Air Rap Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for them one time. Check them out on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. They are there. All right. Again, apologies for the double feed. We're trying to figure out the technical difficulties first time live streaming. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll figure out later on. No, I'm not paying StreamYard anymore. But hey, figure it out. Great conversation, great dialogue. But the question now becomes, ladies and gentlemen, is black culture for sale? Ladies and gentlemen, the European, the industry, the system, the man has pulled off one of the greatest human heists in history, ladies and gentlemen. One of the greatest human heists in history. Not only were you bought and sold, traded and bartered from Africa, the culture that is the byproduct of that situation has now turned into a sense of a capitalistic product to which we have founded, created through the souls of black folk. And somehow we can continue on this trajectory or this idea of making it through an ideal lens of Europeanization. We are, ladies and gentlemen, Negropeans. We are, ladies and gentlemen, Negropeans. Our idea of success is defined by Eurocentrism. It has nothing to do with our own values. It has nothing to do with our own success. And how or why am I so confident in saying that, ladies and gentlemen? Well, maybe because none of what we idealize as success benefits us. Ladies and gentlemen, it's quite evident. I don't know if you all have seen it. I don't know if you all have seen it. But there is a commercial for the new Samsung phone, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't know if you're aware of how propaganda works, how the number one military weapon system in the United States, i.e. media, works, but they use it to alter your condition, ladies and gentlemen. I present to you the most popular, or rather, the biggest commercial right now on TV and selling the new Samsung phone, ladies and gentlemen. You will not see a single black person spots highlighted in this video, ladies and gentlemen.
Yo, can I kick it? Yes, you can. Can I kick it? Yes, you can.
Can I kick it?
¿Qué?
Can I play?
Can I kick it? Can I kick it?
Can I try?
당연하지.
Can I kick it? Yes, you can. Can I kick it? Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, not only did they take it, they put it over top of something they themselves created in skateboarding. They put every other culture, every other leading racial group in this commercial, but you. Ladies and gentlemen, we got on the call. What do you think about that? Go ahead, be wise. You're live.
Hey, man, let me just say, you are spot on with that. That was exactly what I was saying. And, you know, I didn't see, here's the thing. We are sitting here this evening, you know, down in the dumps about this. I didn't see anyone else come out and do anything beyond Dr. Dre saying that it was an explicit word, and on I think it was Good Morning America, and was like, oh man, I can't, outside of him, I didn't see anybody else saying anything. So I'm I can't afford to have a stroke if no one else cares about the culture but me. So I'm gonna let y'all get at this bag, and I'm gonna keep judging y'all music. And unfortunately, we don't want to be a part of the tenants, man. I'm at a loss to how we even fix this. Maybe somebody else on the line knows how we fix this, but Black culture just wants the bag. They found that we can do destructive music in our community and make a bag. That's all that matters.
That brings us to our next point. But before that, I would like to hear from you, Jamal. Very quick sentiments on, is Black culture for sale? And obviously we know it is. We're selling our souls to the industry. But why should we care? Who's going to wake up? We are at the end of the tunnel, the bottom of the barrel. And sorry, ladies and gentlemen, newsflash, nobody's going to get us the fuck out of it but us. Jamal, what do you think?
I don't. That's a tough question to answer because when you think about it, going back to like the 80s, 90s or whatever, when before hip hop was as lucrative as it was, they wanted to make money. They definitely wanted to make money, and once they started making money, they wanted to make more of it. And it's hard to do that and stay true to what made you what you are, like underground or whatever, where you have like a MC Hammer that pops up and now he's a sellout or whatever, and but he's making all the money. It's hard to have that balance. So it's a tough conversation to have whether you want to whether you want these people to be successful, and I do. I go out and buy the music, I listen to the music, I support the artists, but they're not going to make it just on Black people supporting them. They need people outside of the culture to support them as well. And that's a tough balance to have. It's a tough balance to have. And go ahead, what was you gonna say?
Question in that regard, because excuse me if I didn't hear that correctly, I am maestroing this live. But did you just say out of your mouth that a person who is a descendant of the creators of hip hop needs someone, a part of a group of people or consumer that has nothing to do with its creation?
What I'm saying is they're not going to make the money they want to make on us alone.
But here's the question. And again, this brings us to our next point, and I'm enjoying this conversation. Making the money. What does it mean? What does it mean? Because in today's era, making the money, right, and understanding who controls the green, making the money means selling soul. Making the money means selling you something less of a product. Making the money is the reason why we are at the bottom of the barrel, scraping for something.
And that's exactly the point I was trying to make.
So back to the point of Negro of the Negro and this idea of success. Llama, you give me a little Negro pen there.
No,
is success determined by an aspect of the Eurocentric viewpoint?
I'm not. My conversation wasn't about success. Okay. My conversation was about money. What I'm saying is these people who are making the music, right? They want to make money.
Okay.
They want to make money from the music. They always have wanted to. There was always an artist.
Have we always wanted to make money from the music? Or was
yes, they wanted to make.
Was it just about the culture though?
No, it was about both. But they wanted to have That's the way the saying goes. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Okay.
Those two things are mutually exclusive. You cannot do both. And that's where you have a tough tightrope at, where Whatever era you look at it, there's always been people who try to hold on to the culture where you have like Raucous Records or whatever, where they try to keep the core of the culture and make money at the same time. You just can't do both. But these artists, yes, they do want to make money. That's why they sell in their music because they want to make as much money as possible from it. No matter what artist you're looking at, if they're commercial, underground, or whatever, yes, they want to make money. None of them are because it costs money to make this stuff. So yeah, I mean, but the point I was trying to make is it's not about the conversation I wasn't having wasn't about success. I think some of the most successful artists aren't necessarily they haven't made the most money off of it. But if they're in it, if they want to make money, my point was they can't make the money they want to make off of just us alone. It's not going to happen.
If you don't mind, I'd love to step in on this one and just say that being of a man of a certain age, there was a period in time in hip hop, and still to this day, Banksy started his graffiti writing for no pay. At no point did he ever like, oh, I'm just doing this just because I got to get paid. He got paid because he did great work.
And just to quickly add on to that, right? What? Because here's the very interesting point about what you're saying and the whole neo-colonialist, Eurocentric viewpoint of success installation of this conversation or this topic is we just looked at an Olympics do something that is motivated by the origins of hip hop, and they are doing something positive because that is the what that those elements of hip hop promote. And what you're saying is the modern artist can't do what they just did on the biggest sports stage in the world if they want to be successful. But they can do it. But they can do it and gain that sense of notoriety and respect. Do you see what the very real paradigm about all this is? We have to do what they want us to do in order to succeed. But they can take whatever they want from us that they think is progressive for them and succeed with it.
But I think one of the points that you're missing is that when you brung us into this topic, I think you was making a great point, and I thought you was going to say just one word that would have kind of made a lot of sense, but you didn't. Wow. And the main problem today is, I'm gonna tell you, but the main problem today is we don't have tradition anymore. We don't have tradition anymore. Okay, like you ran the Samsung ad, right? And a long time ago, I wanted to be a movie writer, right? So I went and talked to a producer, and I sat down and I asked this producer. I mean, I held this dude up for like 3 hours, this conversation. But one of the things I asked him was, you know, what happens when you get writer's block? And he said, he said, good writers never get writer's block. And I said, why? And he said, because good writers always focus on 4 things: what they want to see, what they think they see, how they think things are, and, you know, a made up story that makes the studio happy, right? And you know, I was young. I was like in my early 20s, right? And I grasped what he said. And every time I look at a movie, and even like Macy's, like you ran the Samsung ad, like every year, Macy's runs a Christmas ad that doesn't have a black family. And they bring it up every year. Every year you'll see a white family, a foreign family, a black mother with, you know, 2 kids. Every year. And they bring it up. And they still run this same company, these same ads. And we don't have the tradition. Now when you talk about success, everything you all said, I think is the correct answer what success looks like today. But if we go back 40 years, so success looked totally different than it did today. since hip hop is the main topic, let's talk about it. In the 80s, there was a standard. You know what I'm saying? Like when people say today, if you complain about Sexy Red, they'll be like, well, look at Lil' Kim and Foxy. Look at Lil' Kim and Foxy. They were the total opposite of Sexy Red. And then they say, what about 2 Live Crew? Well, 2 Live Crew had to fight the Supreme Court to get Sexy Red to even do what she's doing today. Like, don't give us these people that presented balance or had a targeted audience as opposed to Sexy Red where they want to put everywhere. You know what I mean? So in that, I think, when rap did become a big genre of music, it's very hard to tell somebody to turn down a $250,000 contract, right? A record label want to give you $250,000. How many people, it ain't many guys going to turn it down. The reason I know this for sure because I went through it. I used to manage artists and going to these tables with these contract negotiations, and I'm telling them turn down 6 figures for something less so we don't get tied into this label was crazy. It was crazy. These artists looking at me like I'm crazy. Why would I turn down all this money, take this little bit of money? Man, you must be out your mind. I'm like, nah, I'm like, this label is going to have you in bankruptcy court because you want to you taking the here. You're taking today instead of taking what's going to happen in 4 years. You know what I mean? So where I think the problem to fix is bringing it back to the families, bringing it back to tradition, bringing it back to the community. Because when we had communities, we didn't have to worry about nothing. Like our money was spent in these communities, and it went all around in a circle. I pay you, I do business with you. You do business with B-Wise. B-Wise do business with Jamal. Jamal does business with me. I do business. It was when all big circle, and it was successful. Even though
thanks, Karen. We really appreciate it. Got a little bit long-winded there. Sorry, bro. So we really appreciate those sentiments. You started out with something that didn't really get to that point. You said that there was something. That one word that you thought I was going to say that I didn't say. What was that one word before we move on to our next topic?
Tradition.
Okay.
Tradition.
Okay. Even though everything I probably said alluded to that anyway. But hey, it's Jordan Reviews It. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on to our next topic. Thank you, gentlemen, for chiming in there. We really appreciate it. Great things for people to hear. Next, opening up our next segment. Next segment, we are discussing the matters of some sentiments mentioned on the Drink Champs podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, let's listen in.
So let me ask you, because I've been watching. You said something that was very interesting. You said Afro beats gives props back to reggae, to dancehall.
Do they?
I thought I heard you say that.
I don't think they do. No, I never said that. I said they don't give fucking props back to dancehall and reggae.
Oh, my bad. I heard it wrong.
Now you really dyslexic.
Yeah. My bad. I thought I heard it the other way around. But then I heard you say, because I heard you say Afrobeats. I thought I heard you say that. The Afrobeats, pay homage.
The greatest musician out of Africa was Fela Kuti.
Yeah.
Fela Kuti. Lucky Dube from South Africa. We had Salif Keita. We have Youssou N'Dour. We have Baba Mal. Now, no one wanted to go beyond the pale of what those brothers was doing. I went to Africa in 1991 and I spent like 3 weeks constantly at the universities under baobab trees.
In Kenya? That's
educating people from Ghana, all over the continent about reggae music and dancehall. But I was happy when they came to their senses to realize that music is the bridge that's going to connect us. But what I was disappointed in, they didn't try to connect with Jamaica the roots. They connect with everyone else except us.
And you talking about Afro beats?
Yes.
Okay, continue. Sorry.
So they connected with everyone else except us. But when we look at what they're doing, their music is not free in Africa. It's fuckery.
I didn't know what to
the
say.
music need to free Africa. If I am all the way in Jamaica and my country and my people fight for free your continent with word, sound and power, and you have the ability now and all you're singing is fuckery, you don't sing a song to free Africa all now. We'll need them bringing this to the forefront of your mind, but we desire more from them. You want the money? Go get it. But what's going to be said about you later on and your posterity? You didn't make any impact. So reggae music still stands predominant. It is still the king's music.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Tune in. Tune in, ladies and gentlemen. Buju Banton with some really great sentiments. Here's why it makes sense, ladies and gentlemen. I think that from a talented artist such as himself, and I know that it's easy for a person like him to talk the way that he does, having had the experience in life that he has. He comes from the perspective at the age that many young degenerates, being degenerate, he has been, right? And it's easy to speak from the perspective of being through it, trying to foster that wisdom into people going through it. But I think that the one important thing, and I think that this is one of, in my opinion, the most important, top 5 most important Drink Champs podcasts or interviews that I think that are in existence, because there's something really real, I think, that is in motivation from this as it relates to the music industry. And quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, this is where I'm at with it, ladies and gentlemen. We have to boycott, and I hate using the term boycott because it takes you back to the 1960s. We gotta say fuck it to all of this music that's about the bullshit. Malcolm Jamal Warner recently had an interview where he mentioned that the black music that we have today is anti-black. We promote the degradation. We promote the demise. We promote the lower energy within our community. And we do it for the purpose of getting the money. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a way to create good vibes, or create some, or give people a level of a vibe while not also tearing them down. I give you the perfect example, ladies and gentlemen, and you might not like it. Taylor Swift. Ladies and gentlemen, Post Malone. And again, all they talk about is emotional heartbreak or drugs, or drugs, right? Or what have you, right? In the respect that they do, right? But one thing you don't hear about it is the glorification. The I love and I need to create a culture around this degenerative attitude. And I hate using white people as an example, but I think that it speaks to a very real reality of just how much the culture of music impacts us as a people, and just how much we've taken it too far. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to say fuck it to this bullshit music. And if we don't, ladies and gentlemen, it will lead to the inevitable extinction of the Black American, ladies and gentlemen. That was pretty controversial. Why am I clapping at that? Oh, shit. I meant to flex bomb it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it is very real and very possible. There are people that have gone extinct in this world. There are groups of people who have gone extinct. And at the rate that we are going, with all the disparities that exist within certain levels of economic groups, I don't know if we're going to make it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's listen into who we have calling what they think about that. My monologue has ended. What do you guys think about that? Be wise. I'll take it from you first.
Wise word, my young Jedi. the only thing that I will give Afro beats is that in the absence of R&B, Tim's, Little Sims, and a few other of the female artists um, sing without auto tunes. I mean, without a heavy level of auto tunes. Let me not say without auto tunes, without a heavy level of it. So you get some of their voice, and that is appreciative to a man of a certain age. So they're keeping, they're better than Jaquez, the king of R&B. So I would rather listen to them than that. That is the only caveat I would give Afro beats. I would tell you that everything that Jordan said is right on. I would say that as far as the tenets and the music are concerned, we should be treating it more like capitalism than we are. We're treating it like consumers and not capitalism. Capitalism is if you have a great product and you know that it's a great product and you put it out on the shelf, you put it at a certain standard and at a certain price. And if they don't want to buy it, you hold on to it because at some point it's going to gain a certain level of value through marketing, which we're getting, and then you make money off of it. And that's all the 5 tenets of hip hop. That's breaking, that's b-boy. I mean, that's breaking, that's graffiti, that's rap, that's production. When you do it at a high level, you get paid for it.
Woo! That's something to clap about, ladies and gentlemen. Jamal, what about you? What about you? What about you? Today is the Anti-Politics Podcast. But if you want to chime in, I don't know how much she paid you, but if you like to, you can. Because if you think she's the savior, you might as well get your money's worth.
This kind of goes back to the last topic we were talking about in terms of capitalism. You want to make money or you just want to do it for the artistry of it. I've always felt that the music is, in regards to hip hop, rap music, whatever part of the conversation you want to have with it. I've always felt that the music follows whatever the street's doing. I've never really bought into too much into the programming of it. I know what I like and I know what I'm going to listen to. And when that song comes on the radio and I don't like it, I don't listen to it. Maybe that's just me. Maybe some people are easily programmed. But I do know that when NWA came out, that's what we wanted to hear. They weren't playing it on the radio.
Right.
And it was definitely about violence, the drug. It was about all of the bad things that we talk about now. But what I do know is when NWA was a new commodity and it wasn't getting played on TV or on radio, we wanted to hear it.
So let me ask you,
we got in trouble. We got punished by our parents because we were listening to it. We wanted to hear that, and I think that still goes on today.
So let me ask you a quick question. How without exposing any personal identifiable information, you can give us a range. What age were you when NWA was out?
I was a preteen. I was young enough to get in trouble.
So like 10
for listening to it. So I had to sneak and listen.
Is preteen a pre-teenager?
Yeah, I was probably. Let me see. NWA, I was probably about like 13, I think. I don't remember.
All right. So that means like 16 in today's world. So the reason why I ask is because in psychoanalyzing all this as I may, I've looked at certain theories on stages of development and how music listened to on the adult level is different from the same music listened to on a level of, I would say, 9 to 15. Even I would even say 17. Because that stage of development is identity, I believe. Right? It's you trying to find your place in it all, and you trying to figure out who you are. And the moral basis, which is defined by your family, is what helps lead you left or right. And one thing that I believe even the 90s baby has or had that this current teenager, preteen, suicidal druggie doesn't is quite honestly Christianity was a very, or Islam, whatever you may have had, was a very strong proponent in a lot of our households. I mean, some of us had great grandparents who were slaves or enslaved Africans, right? And we had the wisdom, we had the spirit, we had that aura, we had that essence that existed within our family dynamic. And at some point, a child was raised by someone who didn't value that wisdom enough through, I guess, generations of levels of economic distress, and even on a suburban level. Some kids look up to it as a means for ego and identity. So I only say that to say that while oftentimes is often alluded to the fact that the music doesn't make the reality, the reality makes the music. Well, sometimes the music shapes the reality for the developing child. And they see how we rejoice about it because we understand it as the vibe. They understand it as the gospel. I could be wrong. But Kev,
if I could jump in real quick, Jordan, if you don't mind.
Go right
just because Jamal is a little bit younger than I am, and he may remember a time without rap, but I remember a time when rap was becoming rap. So I just want him to know that in 1986, 87, when Eazy-E and NWA came out, they sold pretty well hand to hand. But the most popular music at that time was Parents Just Don't Understand by Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. So there was a lot of diversity. You also had Public Enemy coming out in that same period. You also had Big Daddy Kane coming out in that period. You also had Biz Markie coming out at that period. So people had options. It wasn't that everybody ran with NWA. What the media showed you was that everybody was listening to this. Same thing when Dr. Dre came out with The Chronic, and I'll let it be with that. But the media showed you these things. That's not what the sales shows. Thank you.
Well, let me speak to that because, again, I don't know how old you are. I'll be 48 this year. So
I'm much older.
Okay. But I do remember all of those things. I remember my stance has always been it's not something wrong with the music. It's something wrong with the balance. And you just spoke to that. There was a balance. There was a Big Daddy Kane. There was a Rakim. There were people out there that were speaking the opposite. But we also had a Biz Markie who had a song called Pickin' Boogers that I love. We also had Big Daddy Kane talking about pimping ain't easy. We had these things, but there was a balance. Right now, the balance is off. And that's my only stance. I don't have a problem with the music itself. There's a place for everything. When it ain't no fun unless the homies has, when that comes on, everybody sings it word for word because we love that song. We love trash music. We always have. The problem is it's just too much of it. That to me, that's always been my stance. The balance is off.
I
feel you.
I 100% agree with you when you mention the balance, but I think the viewpoint where that balance exists is important, right? Some people talk about the balance from the perspective of simply the music that exists. I think the balance comes from the viewpoint of the music that person is exposed to. And the music that a person is exposed to, in most cases comes from their guardianship. And if that guardianship does not have that proper foundation, then that child is led astray. And the question becomes is how or why does that guardian not have the purview to understand what a child should not be exposed to if they are, have a conversation around that. You can't have a conversation around that. Why are they listening to it? So I think maybe we are dealing with the fact that there was an era of parenting where people felt like I gotta be the cool parent. Or I gotta be the polar opposite from my own trauma rather than healing from it. I don't know. It's a lot out there. I'm just shooting in the dark here. Didn't hear from you, Kev, but I'd like to. Before we go, if you send shots, I will get rude.
No. Everything everyone said is totally spot on. I mean, even when Jamal, he said that, if you got caught listening to certain music, your parents would beat your butt. And that's exactly how it was back then in the 80s. Because it was a guy, Ed O.G. The two older guys, they know who it is. I remember his first album came out, and he said, "Fuck Abraham Lincoln." And my mom stopped at the door and she said, "What?" I ain't sit down for the rest of the day. But I mean, I don't know. It's so hard to say where the disconnect came from. But I think that Jordan, you made a great point when you said that, you know, the different, I guess, decades and how the youth at that time, how they ingested the music. It looks so different, right? And I'll go back to the NWA point. When NWA first came out, it was kind of relatable. It was very relatable for me, for the neighborhood I was growing up in. So it was kind of like, these guys were speaking for those individuals in my community. And it was kind of like this picture of what was going on in certain neighborhoods. And but at the same time, it was shocking because these guys are from California. And, when you 10 years old, California seems far away than a 3-4 hour plane ride. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's so hard to say, how things can be fixed, or a younger person's perspective when they listen to this music. I mean, at the end of the day, if a 13-year-old, is hanging out with some 16-year-olds, they're going to fall in line with the 16-year-olds because they want to seem like they're the cool kids. But that point you just made about parenting, it kind of comes back into it also. Is this, if you spank your kids today, it's on some borderline. Somebody's gonna say, "Oh, you're slavery," or "You're child abuse," or "Is this." But I got spankings when I was a kid. Be wise, and I'm assuming Jamal did too. And I'm not gonna say spank your kid, but we understood why it happened, right? I don't know. It's a disconnect, and it's like, how do we, like you just said, how do we close the gap on this disconnect?
So with that said, thank you again for those sentiments. They were very moving. Now on to a message from our sponsor, ladies and gentlemen, because what was just brought up by Kev was a very provocative thought. And I think that it is very important, very important for you all to listen in to what we have.
I don't want to seem like a hater. Sometimes I have hater energy because I just think I'm that good. People be like, "Well, you signed up for this." No.
Is your frustration with them because you care about this art form so
Dude,
much?
I love this art form so much, bro. And there's so many niggas out right now that aren't musicians that are getting treated like musicians because they make meme records. And publicly will be like, "I don't give a fuck about music. I just do this shit for money." Like, it's a Spider-Man meme of like the next nigga. When every publication is like, "Hell yeah, let's put that out." Now you taking up space for niggas like me.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. So in covering that, we have Tyler, the creator, who goes on to speak out about numerous artists, one of which I had a bit of a rant on, being an artist I will not name, of the milk descent. Tyler, creator speaks about this paradigm between the reality of the fact that there are musicians and there are rappers. And there are a lot of you posturing rappers as the top. And there is artistry in rapping alone. There is artistry in just displaying your musical or vocal diversity. But a lot of these guys out today, it almost makes you question, what is your inspiration? And while a lot of people might say what motivates this era is maybe a little bit of Travis Scott, a little bit of Future, a little bit of Gucci Mane, I would protest the fact that Gucci Mane and the aforementioned were actually making music, in my opinion. Now, again, the degree of its degeneracy, the degree of whether or not it will stand the test of time is up to you to determine. But I think that what we're looking at as we go from generation to generation musically now is we're hearing dumbed down versions of what came before. And it's almost as if there is very few in the spectrum of success that actually thrive from a nature of musicianship. And so the question here, do you believe in the fact that we should differentiate and we should view rappers or artists from again, rapper artists, two different people. View these people from these two perspectives and understanding that just being a rapper is the lesser. And we have to be able to identify that. We have to dig deep into what this person's art form is. Some people have it at the door, which is why we don't have to have this conversation. Right? A Rakim, a Big Daddy Kane, Kendrick Lamar, a J. Cole. We don't have to have the conversation about whether or not this person is a musician, an artist, or just somebody putting words on a piece of paper to make some money. Who's the real culture vulture? The white guy really rapping? Or the black guy not talking about shit? I want to hear from you, B-Wise.
Man, yeah, I'm telling you, Jordan, you are on your business tonight, baby. On your business. Let me just say, Kevin and I just had this discussion not too long ago, and I'm of the same ilk with you. There's going to have to come a time that we're either going to have to demand different categories of rap, because we've gotten that large. Rock got large and it has multiple categories, or we have to separate rap from the tenets of hip hop. It can't be either or. It has to be one of it. I mean, it can't be one of it. Really, you have to hone down on this, because what's happening is we're not able to pass on the information to the youth the way we would like to. I'm a mentor of a lot of young men, and I can't have the discussion with them about artists that matter because they are only fed rappers. So this is a discussion that I would love Jordan to come back and have specifically with the panel, so that we could really hone down on how to make this work, because at this point, is trash over trash over trash, because I hear conversations constantly. Matter of fact, over the last 6 or 7 days, I've heard that Drake and Lil Wayne are the best two rappers of all time, and that LL wouldn't be on anybody's top 10. I'll leave it at that.
How, Sway? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again, sir, for those wonderful sentiments. Ladies and gentlemen, it's monologue time. Tune in. Ladies and gentlemen, quite frankly, we need to understand, right? And again, young people, I know where you're at in terms of you just want to tune, you just want the next ABC record. Fine, right? But you all need to understand that the music that you're listening to needs to be evaluated. The artists that you appreciate needs to be evaluated. It's not about everybody being better than the next guy all the time. Sometimes it's about the simple fact that there is a standard of what is good, okay, and absolute trash. And how do we determine this? How do we determine it? Stop just listening to the tune and listen to the actual song. Wouldn't you be upset if your teacher said, we're all going to get A's, we're all going to get A's. Every day you walked into the class for 10 minutes. But at the end of that semester, you all ended up with an F and you don't understand why and you ain't do no work. The analogy is simply put in this. You are blindly, mindlessly listening to this music that you would say is good, great, whatever, that actually has no musical foundation at all. Its sole existence and purpose is from the standpoint of this trend era, and you don't seem to see the code in the matrix, and the fact that this music means nothing but to attract your attention. It is not to expound you in any spiritual, physical, or mental way. It is simply there to arouse your interest and package it around a layer of consumerism. There isn't a single artist that you can say that you like is not packaged around some level of consumerism that benefits the powers that be. Who's your favorite artist? You can say Sexy Red. Well, hey, in my opinion, she's a sponsor for Plan B. Because what does she promote? Secular bullshit behavior. As if it is okay. Playboy Cardi, the other likewise. They are sponsors of opiates. We are in the era where they are making you the druggie, not the drug dealer. And you talk about it as if it's cool, as if it's something that I need to enjoy. This is the culture. This is what it is. It's not the culture. Let's see how you look in 20 years. I don't know. Keep listening to the music. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't make any sense. It's my long time, ladies and gentlemen. And now it's over.
That nigga's tripping.
What do you think, Jamal?
You might not like what I gotta say about it, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I understand what you're saying, and I'm just going to push back a little bit. At no point in time, in my opinion, now I'm going to say my opinion because maybe somebody else might have a different opinion. At no point in time has hip hop ever been about the lyrics. The lyrics have become part of it, but it was always about the party. It was always about what gets the people moving. It started off in a park as a block party, right? People dancing. Okay. The lyrics became part of it later on. And then in the golden age in the 90s, the lyrics became everything. We danced to it as well, but the lyrics became everything. I think now we're at a part in the cycle where we're back to just, like I said, the balance is just off. I don't like to talk about what rappers are doing and what I don't personally like. It's not about what I like. Somebody else might like it. At one point, the same thing you said, Jordan, they said about 90s hip hop. There's a interlude on De La Soul's album when they're basically saying rap was niggas talking, right? There was no musicology in it. There was no art in it. The same music you're talking about that was art in it, that you're saying was art in it, they were saying at the time there's no art in it. there's always going to be rappers that you do like and rappers you don't like. It's just that before they had a title, we called them sucker MCs, and we didn't give them any play. You know what I'm saying? The sucker MCs was they we ain't like them, but now the sucker MCs is getting all the burn. The balance is off. We always liked trash music. We always like trash music. We just don't like all of our music to be trash. Whether it's Sexy Red or I actually like Glorilla. I think she's tough as a new artist, but somebody else might be like Glorilla's trash, and that's fine. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. At one point they booed Outkast, and look at them now. So I don't like to get in the weeds of what's good and what's bad because that's about a personal opinion. There is a lot of trash though, and the balance is off, man.
So one thing they say is that when the balance is off, the focus is misplaced. The question has to become, and the fact that what motivates the focus? Why is the focus here and not there? And XYZ. Maybe it has to do with something more than just that's just what they like. Maybe the balance is off because the focus is pointed to it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Kev, what about you? What do you think?
Everything Jamal just said, I think, was the same stuff I had said before. I think that it's a thing of what the young people want because it's to a point now, like, you know, me and B Wise, we're like, you know, we're up there, you know what I'm saying? And our voices can only go but so far. I mean, the main thing we can do is we can tell the youth how it used to be or the standard that the forefathers were trying to set, but all we can do is give them assistance into pushing the culture forward. You know, all of us here are talking about there needs to be balance, and you know, at one time you can, you know, LL was big, Rakim was big, but Public Enemy was just as big. And NWA, however you looked at them, was just as big. And Two Live Crew, however you looked at them, was just as big. You know, we had all these different artists saying different things that went to different audiences or different settings. But just like, I mean, like Jamal made an excellent point. You know, the majority of the 70s was about having fun, right? And that's where it started at. And I'll go an extra point when he said the first hip hop party was a block party. It was actually a community event. It was a back to school jam. And what a lot of people fail to realize, back in the 70s, a back to school jam wasn't preparing the kids for school. A back to school jam was a fundraiser to, you know, because the host was raising money to get school supplies or clothes. And the community came together to assist this person. So even though, you know, hip hop was about having fun, the actual first recognized hip hop party was a actual community event, which was just so happened to be a fundraiser. And that's who we were back then. And we lost that now. Even like, you know, and if you look at today, I like I say, I agree with Jamal so much in what he was saying, but I do think that I think the youth today needs something. They need substance. I'll say that substance. And I'll end it there.
So last point of this dialogue before we take us to my ending monologue and outro is in real question. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Right? we do understand it's the individual effort which aids the collective, but in message to the community, I typically reiterate the sentiments of a Marcus Garvey in this situation. All Negroes will not be a benefit here or there. But my question is because even in what you all mentioned, and maybe you don't have to answer this particular one today, but it's like, when did the youth become so unhinged? Right? When was there ever a point where young people were just so uncontrolled or unmanaged or morally limited in a way where you had a compass, you had a left and a right? Nowadays, it's just somehow perpetuated as if they exist within a domain of their own governing. When did that happen?
Do you mean in what today's landscape look like, or just overall?
I mean, so we again, I'm just saying we're talking. What we're really talking about with the music that we feel is degenerate, or we may feel is just divide. I don't know. Maybe it's even in the perspective of the music isn't really what's the problem. It's just a function of the people itself. But even though that's hard for me to believe when music is a part of culture. Culture is a worldview, and a worldview is how you see the world. And for a lot of these kids, the music helps make helps shape their perspective of their own reality. Right? If we've existed as black people in this country collectively broke, collectively enslaved, right? And we, even at the period of Jim Crow, had this essence, this vibe, this energy to strive and get up. Even though there were things that held us back. In today's era, we have submitted to that colonialism. We have submitted to the oppression. We have submitted to, we're not fighting anymore.
I mean, but I think that, like, when you bring up the point of Jim Crow, even though the people that look like us were struggling, at the end of the day, they still had family, and it was, it was a different landscape. When you have a group of individuals that you like, it was okay. It was just totally different. Whereas it was like, let's say you had a flat tire, right? Okay. Somebody back then, 2-3 people would stop to help you with this flat tire. If you get a flat tire today, it's, I mean, let's be real. Mm-hmm. At least 10 cars might pass before somebody actually stops, right? And I mean, is that a fair assessment to make?
And I think a large part of maybe why that exists is because how technology has shaped human interaction. But that doesn't mean that we can't be that person, even though that we know. Right? And so,
which is true.
And I think that's another clear. That's another thing I think that we have to talk about another day. Because even in that respect, I often wonder why I exist in a world where I can see a black man in a workplace nod my head up in the universal sign of what's up, and that person look at me like I'm crazy. Why does that exist today? Right? So it's just all skin folk and kinfolk. I don't know. Maybe we have truly submitted to the colonialism of our people. Right? Kill the Indians, save the man, Americanization through education. Right? Or maybe Americanization through the diseducation of the Negro. Maybe that is who we are today. Maybe we are so culturally unaligned with a source of morality from ourselves that we've lost ourselves in whatever the world has shaped for us.
I think that's definitely a much more nuanced conversation. As it regards to the culture and the music, though, I'm gonna be honest and say I really don't know the answer to how do we get back or get to a better place. I used to think at one point that
do you think can be done?
I don't know. I don't know
to change the trajectory. If you don't know, say you don't know, and we'll move on.
I don't know, but this is what I thought, and it may still be possible. I used to think that the music it was more like art imitating life. Whatever's going on out here in real life, the music is going to reflect that. I don't know that I believe that anymore because you got people growing up in multi-million-dollar houses trying to be gangster rappers now.
And I think that's another point to mention when we talk about the industry's overtaking of black culture that we have thrown in the trash can and we don't care to gatekeep. The multi-millionaire, the record label owner, sees that I can't do anything about my child who loves this culture but colonize it. But benefit from it within my own institution. And let's start by putting the very essence of it on the biggest stage and not allowing any person of Black American descent in any element of what this is to exist here. Because if they're there, it'll take away from our ability to succeed in it. And then also, let's give them this influx of white rappers doing the things that they already like, because we know when we look at that person, they're not really talking about what they're talking about. These kids just like what they like what they're talking about. This guy BLP Culture is a Jewish trap rapper that was at one point co-signed by Gucci Mane and is now the biggest Jewish rapper in the world and got Florida wicks in his hair. And he probably from the middle of South Dakota. My point is, ladies and gentlemen, we have to gatekeep the culture. Child, black person who maybe didn't educate himself about his own culture, who maybe has a level of self-hatred instilled within his psychology. You have to understand that the embodiment of your culture and people who are of other must always be questioned. And you have to understand that they always operate from the perspective of a guest pass should you allow it. Which is why an Eminem can never be considered the greatest in a category of music that is not of what he comes from. As good as he is. Because you have to gatekeep the culture. Here's the perfect example of gatekeeping culture, ladies and gentlemen. Can anybody tell me what would happen if you went walking in a gated community in one of the largest communities in Florida? A police officer as a black man would just stop you for walking while black and say, "What are you doing here?" That's gatekeeping culture, ladies and gentlemen. That's identifying an anomaly where you shouldn't exist and using some nature of power to dispel of it.
Can I ask you a question?
That's gatekeeping.
I ask two questions. One,
monologue. Yes, you can.
well, I think that, do you think the younger people want to hear it or want to embrace this role of gatekeeping?
I mean, the reality is that a lot of these young kids, a lot of people in general, I mean, the most incorrectly used term in today's era via the internet is racism. Nobody really knows what that term is. And I do understand that prejudice, xenophobia, and other discrimination are byproducts of the institution of racism. But what people need to understand is racism, the term, the institution, the verb, the noun, the adverb, what have you. In order for it to exist and benefit someone, we are discussing a power dynamic. And as you would call someone proficient in the violin a violinist, a person being a racist isn't inherently bad. It's how your level of racism impacts others and benefits yourself. Black racism benefits everyone. You want to know how? Well, the greatest power we have within the world is our artistic and cultural influence. Do we tell the world that if you want this, you have to empty everything out of your pockets? No, we don't. We have always been known to be a hospitable people, even when we talk about pre-1500s Africa. So my point is when racism is demonstrated by the Arab, by the European, by the colonized, biracial Hispanic. It is used from a perspective of not being us in every dynamic of what it is. So I just feel like while many of these young people might feel like by doing that they're being racist, no. What you're doing is you're protecting your culture. I'm not going to let Katy Perry have dreadlocks and not say anything about it. I'm not going to let Katy Perry get braids with bow rats and not say anything about it. I'm not going to let Katy Perry rap like Gucci Man on a song and say, yeah, I did a good job. When all it is a carbon copy of something. I'm not going to allow, in its greatest example, this bullshit Big Stepper song to be a top Billboard hit without saying something about it. That song is just Project Pat with an Indian face. And it's number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 on Billboard. And everyone's like, oh man, this song is so amazing. That's colonizer tendencies at its finest. These Indians, these white people, they don't know Project Pat. But this person who found something and don't remember where they heard it from and now put it on the track and made it seem like I created something, that's what they do. It's nothing original about anything they do. And that's racism. That's colonization. That's their power. Defining that phenomenon and having it act in their desired manner. Ladies and gentlemen, if my panel has time, I ask you to hold on, but at this time, I'm monologued out. I'm monologued out, ladies and gentlemen, and what we're going to do right now is first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you, thank you for listening in. I'll chop this up and make it something nice. And yes, we had some technical difficulties, but hopefully you can listen through it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again. We'll see you next time on Jordan Music, ladies and gentlemen. Before we go, a quick message from our sponsor.
What this whole thing is about is the restoration of confidence. It has been the role of these handmaidens of colonialism to destroy your confidence in yourself. You don't believe that you can look like a god. You don't believe a black father in your home is to some extent a god. That doesn't make the black woman less than a goddess. Because we produced the first human societies that recognized and respected the female god. We produced the first human society that said you can't be a king unless you got a queen. You can't be a god unless you got a goddess. So you can see all of these social ills that people are defending now, none of it started in our countries. I defy anyone alive, and those who want to come alive, come back and prove me, I invite them too, to show me one single case of sexual deviance or maladjustment any place on the African continent for the coming of foreigners. I defy you to show me one case of teenage pregnancy, one case of ill treatment of women. We got confused with someone else's ideas, someone else's concept and definition of us. What we have to understand is that faith has not spared us for an idle reason. A whole lot of people who've been hit less than us are extinct. What is there in us that made us strong enough to take this heavy blow? 500 years of slavery, one way or the other. Slavery, neo-colonialism. What made us strong enough to survive? What is faith saved us to do? And inasmuch as we gave the world its first humanity, Faith has saved us to give the world its last humanity. What we have to do is to believe it, to believe that we are worthy of it, and to believe that we are capable of it. What black studies should be about, what black religion should be about, is the restoration of the confidence. And the restoration of the confidence is we must rule the state again. There is not an imitation nation, an independent nation in Africa or the Caribbean islands. They're all imitation European states. And what we have to understand is that the nation state is stagnant. The African did not live in a nation state, he lived in a territorial state. The African learned something that's very basic. Cultures have to be fertilized by cultures. People have to be fertilized by the interaction between cultures and cultures. This insecure European tightened his borders. You know, you got a passport to come here? The word passport is not in any African language. The things he invented to restrict himself, he imposed on other people. Once we gain confidence in ourselves, and once we look at that person staring back at us from that mirror and like what we see, and don't move from that mirror until you like what you see. Then, in coordination with other African people throughout the world, we will give the world a new lease on life. We will turn to all of our people and not one part of them, because we came from a matrilineal society that respected women to the point the lineage came down to the female side. We must answer the call of the great African-American poet, Margaret Walker, who said, "Let the dirges end, let a new peace begin. Let us write a new covenant for the freedom of ourselves in the world." African men throughout the world need to step forward and answer Sister Margaret and say, "Sister Margaret, we have heard your call, and because we have never been a society that excluded women, with our women at our side, we are ready to pick up the challenge. We are ready to start a revolution that will change the world. We won't get ready tomorrow because tomorrow's things are left to tomorrow. We will start our revolution right now, and we will start it with ourselves." Thank you. Who are you kidding about friends in the world? Damn it, if you want a friend, look in the mirror.